Happy Halloween, everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very special spooky speed build. You may be wondering, why am I Caucasian? And the answer is today we are building the dining room from my favorite show, NBC's Hannibal. You know, the room where it happens, aka the room where he eats people. And I'm just going to take a little bit of time to show you guys my process of building this room and also talk about the show and why I love it. And yeah, let's just get into it. So first of all, you may have noticed that I took another little hiatus, and not by choice. I had planned to do a lot of Halloween content actually, and then my plans were cruelly interrupted by a sinus infection, which was super fun. I literally just got over it today, which is why I'm doing this voiceover right now, because I wanted to make Halloween content, and my body was like, no, that's not allowed. But I made it. It's currently 6 p.m. on October 29th, so I made it. Close enough. Right now, as you can see, I'm just putting down a bunch of objects that I'm planning on using in this build. Usually when I'm doing a build on Harv's Island, whether it's one that I'm planning to translate over to my actual island or one that I'm just doing on Harv's Island for fun, I'll usually start off by just dumping a bunch of items that I want to use that, you know, it's a process. It's a messy process, but I guess it works because I finished the build. But yes, NBC's Hannibal, my favorite show. Very spooky show, very appropriate for Halloween. As you can probably guess by the title, it is about Hannibal Lecter, the cannibal. And it's a prequel to all of the movies that you know, Silence of the Lamb, Red Dragon, all of those famous movies. Basically before he gets caught, before people figure out that he's the cannibal, Hannibal the cannibal. It's a very, first of all, it is not a show for kids. I'm aware that as an Animal Crossing content creator, I'm making content that may be seen by younger people. And I want to say, if you are a younger person watching this, do not watch Hannibal until you are an adult. I watched it when I was maybe in high school. And it's certainly, it's very violent. And it is not for kids. So if my description of the show, this video is appropriate for kids, but if my description of the show intrigues you, put a pin in it and wait until you're an adult, because it is very graphic. That's my first warning. But if you're into that sort of thing, then it's fantastic. It basically starts off telling the story of Will Graham, FBI detective. You may remember him from the movie Red Dragon. And basically he has what is called in the show an empathy disorder, where he can basically get in the mind of a killer and understand exactly their motivations and what they're thinking, and that helps him solve crimes. And this is like a very classic premise for a crime TV show. So, it's on the surface it seems sort of like mundane, but the actual show itself is much more interesting than that, because the FBI, realizing like this man is unhinged and could become a murderer at any second, and also realizing that this is a bad thing, they connect him with a psychiatrist who is Hannibal Lecter to monitor him and his state of mind. And of course Hannibal Lecter, being who he is like, I'm gonna mess with this man's head and see what happens. Maybe he'll save the day, maybe he'll become a murderer like me, and we can be like murder friends, or maybe more than murder friends, That's essentially the plot of the show. And it's amazing. The entire cast is amazing. The performances, the way the show looks. Let's talk about this room, okay? Because this is not a direct one-to-one copy, obviously, of Hannibal Lecter's dining room, but I wanted to get sort of the big elements of it. So obviously we have the fancy dining table. Some of my friends on Discord were very kind in helping me catalog the wedding furniture, so I could set this up. The way the show looks is impeccable. It was like at the beginning, when it came out, it was like at the beginning of peak TV, or the way people think of peak TV. So, like Mad Men and Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, really high production value, single camera TV shows. And Hannibal is absolutely in that vein, in the way that it looks, the way that it sounds, everything about it. And it's a very dark show, both in terms of the content and as well as the way that it looks. But it's also it has a really fun, dark sense of humor about it. It's a very funny show. Once you've watched it more than once, which I've watched it maybe dozens of times all the way through. The situations just become like more and more absurd, and you realize how funny all the characters are acting. I'm just going on a rant at this point about how much I love this show, but I just think, you know, if you're looking for something spooky to watch in the next 2 days of Halloween, Hannibal is on most streaming services now, so it's pretty easy to find, at least in the US. I do not know what the situation is like outside the US, but yes, you should absolutely watch Hannibal. Here I am I ended up moving this fish, but I wanted to have something. Hannibal, his personality, he's a very particular man, which is why his house is so particular. I think I ended up keeping the stag head because the stag is like an important sort of image in the show. I did keep that above the fake sort of sliding doors that I put over there. But he's a very particular man, and he has very eclectic tastes. So I wanted to reflect that in the decoration of his room. He has a lot of flowers. You'll see in a little bit, I'm gonna decorate his, he has like I don't know what to call it, like a topiary wall? He has like a wall of plants in his dining room that I sort of try to replicate using some of the objects in Animal Crossing, as well as those huge wedding flower decorations. He also has a lot of art. He has a very interesting painting above his fireplace. If you've seen the show, you know. They do not have that painting in Animal Crossing. It would be very funny if they did. But I put a different painting above there to represent that. Here I go making the topiary wall, which I'm pretty proud of. I don't normally do things like this in my builds that are like very symmetrical, because I just don't like the way that it looks normally in my gameplay. But for him, it suited him, I think. Here we go, messing with that. I ended up getting rid of the Venus statue because there just was enough room. Because, you know, you gotta have the big, long dining table. You gotta be able to seat a dozen or so people for a dinner party. This, I think, is my favorite detail, which will become apparent when we watch I made a little, I'm a little proud of myself. I made a little machinima type thing at the end. I'm not to toot my own horn or anything, but I think it's pretty cute. And you'll see how that plays into that in the end. But I put that rolling cart by the head of the table because he has a rolling cart where he puts all of his food, and he like rolls his food out, and he's like, look at all this fancy food I made. You never guess what's in it. That's crazy. But yes, here we are adjusting a couple of things. What else was I going to talk about in this video? Besides, I mentioned my sinus infection. Oh yes, voting. If you're in the US, not to be another annoying person telling you to go vote, but please vote. Please vote as soon as you can, and make sure that your ballot gets counted. I will leave links in the description that will help find out where you can register if you're not registered in your state already, if it's possible to register, where you can cast your ballot, like finding your polling place. Also, if early voting is in effect in your state right now, as well as remember, if you have the ability to drop off your absentee ballot in person instead of sending it in the mail, please do that. I had to send mine in the mail because my ballot is in another state because I'm in college, so I'm moving around. But if you are able to drop off your absentee ballot in person, please do that. Anyways, back to the speed build. As you can see here, I was sort of not sure what I wanted to put on the rolling cart. I was like, maybe I'll put this tea set because the dark brown matches. But then I ended up thinking, decoy duck, he's serving duck. I thought about also putting the little cutting board set with the knife, but there just wasn't room to put it anywhere. I would have liked to have done that, but unfortunately did not have the space. You gotta prioritize things, like the katana, very important. Something else to know about Hannibal is that he's kind of a weeb. That goes into like the lore of his family, which you do learn about in the show. And he does have a samurai suit in his house. Because, you know, that's the type of thing if you're a grown man and you're rich and you decorate your house however you want, why not put a samurai suit? He's very extra like that. But yes, put the, you know, you got the katana above the fireplace. You got your decoy duck. I was messing with the lighting there. I've never used this candle before in any build, and so that was fun to use. I love seeing him sit. I think it's very cute. I had to sacrifice my eyebrows for this, so be thankful. I re-downloaded them. I made them, so, you know, my creator code is in the description if you want to download specifically my eyebrows from real life, if that intrigues you. But yes, I did take my eyebrows off for this little cosplay that I did. What was I searching for? What was I up to? I was looking for the velvet stool. Yeah, I didn't like the non-matching wood colors of the chair, so I switched it to the velvet stool. Another item that I've never used, that I keep getting in balloons that I did not ask for, but there it is. I think I was adding some extra rugs here. There was also, oh yeah, the blue. Yeah, I ended up going with the blue. There was also a period of time. Did I go with the blue? I definitely did go with this red. There was a period of time where I also was messing with the wallpaper as well, but I ended up sticking with this one because I think it's the most similar to the one he has on the show. But yeah, watch Hannibal. Yeah, here I am messing with the wallpaper. Watch Hannibal. It's great. It's spooky. It's fun. It's a good time, and hopefully Netflix decides to pick it up. I remember changing this wallpaper, and I was very much like, I might use this just because how fun it is with the lights off. But it just didn't feel right, you know? I had to go with the blue and the red. It just fit. Alright, and here we are at the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching and for listening to my sick voice for 13 minutes. Please stay tuned for the little machinima that I made at the end. Remember to check out the links in the description about where and how to vote, as well as if you want to follow me on Instagram, give this video a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!